Now, this video I'm making because I saw a poster or someone made it, and then it was shared on the main Facebook page of the Chris Network. And so they were talking about Chris Daily, basically. And they were talking about this legal fees that needs to be paid and whatnot, and they were asking for donations, right? Because they don't have the money, they need to pay the money. And so something just came into my mind at the moment when I saw that. I was like, look at how fast trends go, right? Like just yesterday, it was October, and we were hearing about this subject for the first time. And it was like, what is this? We were all going wild. Like, what is this stuff? And November came, December went, and then it's like, okay, it's getting exhausting. And then we had the lawsuit, people attending, what, and all that kind of jazz, When Chris went to court, I remember there was a picture that was taken, and there was a very few people there. There was a few people, handful, to say the most. I remember, I think Austobile was there with this other lady, and thinking there was very few people there. So you could already see, the audience that supports most of this social media content, particularly religious content, they're not the most moneyed people. They're not the most moneyed people. Not like big pockets or anything like that. And so when they have to pay, whether it be 200,000, I don't know how much it is. 200, 300, 400, I don't know. Whatever it is that they have to pay, however long it will take them to pay that amount. Think about this. Every single time that pamphlet has to go out, every single time a donation is asked, every single time Chris even thanks people for the donations. Yeah, which is a good gesture. Of course, it's his audience. He has to say thank you. So every single time he has to do that, I want you to remember that that's attached to your name. Sometimes we can be under the idea that, I want this. You can pursue something solely vowing that I want this. And then at the end of it, the victory is just, remember the story of Alexander the Great, right? Alexander fought so much. Fought. One of my favorite episodes actually, that actually encapsulates that idea is from this series called The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone, not the vampire Twilight, the Twilight Zone. It's a show from the 1950s, 1960s. And this show, it ran like over 100, 200 episodes. And they had this episode of this guy who was into business empires. He was building a business. He was big. He had he had a branch in each and every state in the US, and he was big. Okay, he started from the bottom all the way to the top. And when he had done it all, there was one particular business competitor he wanted to take over. One person, and he wanted to take over, and he couldn't get to this person. Then finally he found a way to sneak himself into that business by apparently this guy, that business had loaned money. Okay, he had asked for a bank, for a loan thingy, and an institution had given him this money. And finally, this guy who wanted to destroy this guy so bad for all these years and had never managed, finally found a way to purchasing that note. And that particular note, if you purchased it, you could actually recall it. So which means you can go to the person who that money was lended to and then say, you know what, I asked for this money to be paid right now. And if you do that, if the person didn't have the money, they had to liquidate. And finally, he calls him into a meeting and he sits him down and he tells him, for all these years, we've been in a battle of trying to win and what and all this kind of stuff. It's a very interesting episode. And he said, finally, I can say I have conquered. And how, he asked? He shows him the note and he says, this is the note that says, as of today, I own I spent a lot of money. He paid way more than the note was worth. And he says, I'm calling the note of 3 million. And by that time, 3 million is way too big. And the man doesn't have it. And he said, I paid that money so that I could destroy, so they can destroy this business, right? That was the narrative of the story. So he wins, and this guy goes out, he's ashamed, he's lost his business, he's lost everything he has ever worked for because this guy has decided to call the note. So he has to liquidate. At the end of it all, he's done, he's won, victory. The janitor of the building comes in, walks right in, starts sweeping, and he's sitting in the corner and he doesn't see him. He's like, hey, what are you still doing here? And he says, now just sitting to have a drink, and he was gloating about how much money he had and whatnot. And while he was doing that, he said, why do you look, the guy who's a janitor said, why do you look so miserable? You look like you, and he says, I have everything I thought I wanted. Everything. I have the success. I have just finally defeated the last enemy that I thought I had. And yet I feel empty. That was it. And then when he says that, the janitor quotes the Alexander the Great thing. And he says, Alexander the Great, he moaned because there was no more land to conquer. Because there's nothing else. He's done it all. He's conquered it all. And when I saw that note, that particular thing, I was like, you know what? You might have spent however much you spent, but I don't think you want you don't want to call that note. If you heard the story, you will understand what I mean. I don't think you want to call that note. I don't think you want that bill. You might be convinced they owe you, you paid that money. Yes. But something, when that thing popped up before my face, I was like, I don't think she wants this money. But I don't mean like you don't want it. You probably do want the money back. No. You probably do. You probably definitely do. You probably saying that you want to pay for this. You've already planned for it, and the whole 9 yards, right? You probably counting it up like that. But there are certain battles. Like, I find it funny when we are fighting and then we say the victory is God's. Like wait, victory is God. Is that how God fights? I was like, wait, what? Is this how God fights? Personally, I don't think you want to call that note. You won the battle of the lawsuit. The judgment was handed forward for you. But like that Alexander the Great thingy, there are certain battles you do not want to win. There are certain battles you should not want to win. And this one here, when I saw that pamphlet, I was like, nah, you don't want that. Because you see, with that, it's not just a reminder that someone is paying you. It's a reminder that the average person is donating all this money. It's a reminder that whatever Chris is working for, you're taking. What? You want that? Okay. You want that for how long? How long do you think it's going to take him to pay that? Maybe 3 years, 4 years, maybe 5 years, maybe. There are certain battles you do not want to win. And that, for me, looks like one of them. It's your money. I can tell you what to do, I don't have 20 rand in my bank account. So I can't tell you what to do with 200, whatever amount of money we are calling, whatever the number is, right? That whatever the number, I was like, I don't know if you want that amount. That's just me, I'm a broke guy. What do I know about money? What do I know? But when I saw that pamphlet, every single time there's a donation that's collected, the viewer who's donating has to remember this is going to Pastor MUKHUBA. Like every single time, the money, your name will be now attached to money is taken from people who don't have to someone who does have. I don't know, but I don't think you want that. That's just me. What do I know? Like I said, like what do I know? I don't have money. So when I have money, and I can kind of say, we gotta balance out the balance sheets. The balance sheets must make sense. Strict Reality Show, we do daily Christian commentary videos. If it's your first time over here, there are certain areas like Alexander the Great. There are certain battles we do not want to win, because once you win that battle, you find there is certain, you'd expect that maybe you feel something. If we say we are whole and complete in Christ, there are certain battles. But that's just my thought. It's Ricky. Like I said, I'm a broke guy. What do I know?